All right, so what we got going today is we are putting some aluminum half doors on a 2011 Polaris RZR 800 4. Obviously it's the 4-seater model. Right now I just have the stock window nets. I bought this kit off of eBay. It was about $500 for the door kit. As you can see, I already have the driver's side on, and from what I've seen, there isn't a lot of videos showing you actually how to do this. It's supposed to be a direct bolt-on. They never are. So I encountered a few hiccups, so I figured I'd make this video just so everybody has something they can reference off of when they go to do this themselves. So we will get started. What you're going to want to do now is you're going to go along and you're going to pop off all of these straps that hold the current door netting on. There's a couple like down in here, and you can see hopefully that you'll actually have to take I believe it's a T20 and pop those screws out. And there's a couple on the front, and I believe one on the back, one or two on the back. It looks like two. So I will come back when I get that done. All right, I have the window netting removed now. Something to show you guys. On the front net, you're gonna have this T20 Torx bit here, and confused me on the first one, but you actually have to put a 7/16 wrench on that nut right there to get the bolt out. That's the only one like that on this project, so be mindful of that. Now what you have to do, you have to take out this rear passenger support bar, and it is just one, I believe that's a T25 Torx bit and another T25 Torx bit down there, and then that just pops out. All right, I forgot on this rear support bar, it's the T25 Torx bit and a 7/16 wrench. All right, once you have this rear support bar removed, do not place the bolts back in. When you install the door latching mechanism for the hard doors, you will need those bolt holes. So there's those two, and there's this one down on the B pillar. All right, I have that removed, and we are ready to move on to the next part. So the next part instructs you to put a ratchet strap around your windshield roll bars, the A pillars. That is because once you take these bolts out that we're going to take out next, these two bolts right here, it is going to shift the cage more than likely. So for me, I have to pop out this windshield clamp right here, and this is for the straps for my door netting. All right, I have that moved out of the way, and now what you're going to have to do is for me, it is an 8mm Allen wrench. You can see it, maybe, if it'll focus. Probably not going to focus, but it's an 8mm Allen wrench. And you have two 8mm bolts that come through, and the nuts that are on the back side just lock into place with the roll cage, so you don't have to worry about putting a wrench on the end of those. These bolts are extremely tight. What I ended up having to do for this was getting a 5/8 wrench, and you could do this with a jack handle or other sorts of extensions, putting it on there like that, and then prying up to bust these loose. Just going to show you that Allen wrench is in those A-pillar bolts, and I got the 5/8 wrench, and it takes some force, and you'll hit a hard spot, and then it'll go again, and then it's broken loose. So once you have the bolts removed from the roll cage, they're right here. Look like some grade 8 bolts. Take those out, and then you're going to have your two door latch brackets. These are not marked, so I'll do my best to try to show you the location of them. And you want them kicked out approximately like that. This was a real struggle trying to figure this out, so another reason why I'm making this video. And the best way I have found to get these lined up taking a big screwdriver and prying them to get the holes lined up. It is a pain, but once you get that figured out, you can get them lined up. Inside your kit, it's going to have two 3/8 bolts and washers. I believe they're M10 washers, and the nylock nuts, and they just get fed through and tightened down. The instructions told you to tighten them down super tight, but I didn't tighten them down right off the get-go. I wanted to be able to shift everything around. So once you get those installed, I snug them up, but they weren't tight, so I could still make some adjustments to this if I needed to. So this part is kind of a pain, but once you get the first hole lined up, it's pretty easy to get the second one. Alright, once you get it done, get them lined up, that's what it should look like. Bolts stick out through the other side. And then I believe they're both 9/16 heads and wrench, or socket and wrench. And then I'll get those snugged up and then we'll move on. Alright, once you get this bracket installed, again, leave it kind of loose so you can make adjustments as needed. After that, you need to move on to the next portion, is installing the lower B-pillar bracket. This is the part that bolts into the retainer bar that you previously removed. So what these brackets look like, there's these L-shaped brackets with two holes and a slot in it. What it's telling you is you want to place this bracket on the bottom of your door. It tells you to face the front, which is not accurate. I said face the front. This is the front door. I read it as face the front, so that's what I did. That is incorrect. What you need to do is it actually faces the rear doors. So the slot will face the rear doors. And that becomes important when you go to tie in this lower section on the to the side-by-side frame. The two screws you're going to need for that are these little countersunk heads, little I don't even know what size Allen key these are, but they're little Allen keys, and that's all you put on these ones. Alright, here's the door frames, and here's that bracket, and it's facing towards the rear of the machine. That should help. Alright, after you get that lower door bracket mount on, it wants you to install the front latch pin. So in order to do that, I should have noted this at the start of the video, but you will need to go to Ace and pick up more washers. I did not have enough washers with the kit that they sent to properly put washers on everything, so just be mindful of that. That is something you will have to go to Ace or your hardware store and buy. I just bought M8 washers, 5/16 inner diameter hole. So in order to build the door striker pin, what you're going to do is, if I can do this one-handed, you're going to lay this down, put your washer on, put the hinge pin on. This is very difficult one-handed. And then one more washer, and then you are going to go bolt that onto your door frame, and I'll show you that here in a second. Alright, after you have those assembled, this is what it should look like. This is the bracket we just installed. There's your bolt, washer, striker pin, and then I actually stacked a second washer here just to help with the it does have a little bit of play in that slot. I mean, it's meant to move. It's supposed to be adjustable, but I just didn't like the way that M10 washer fit in there. And then I put an M8 washer on the bottom with the nylock on it, and then I will just snug that down. I won't tighten it. I'll just snug it down. And those are both, I believe, 9/16. So something I do want to mention, with this kit, for some reason, one reason or another, it did not exactly fit with my side-by-side, even though there's no modifications to the side-by-side or the cage. However, I did end up having to make some changes to it, and it's correctly adjusted. So this is a spacer bracket that they include with the kit that is actually supposed to go in here. For the newer models, there's supposed to be a spacer in between the roll cage and this bracket. My door did not fit. As you can see, now it is perfectly aligned, but without that spacer, I was not able to close this door at all. So I ended up modifying this, and what I'm gonna end up doing is I will weld all around this to make sure it's secured to get rid of that bolt. But keep in mind, I'm probably gonna have to do the same thing over on that other side right there. So I just wanted to make note of that. That is an issue I ran into. All right, now we are going to start dealing with getting the hardware to place the door onto the frame of the side-by-side. So these are the kind of pictures you get to deal with, but that piece is right here. It's like a little, anybody ever dealt with the GM or Ford body mount clips, that's what they look like. And it just takes this little Allen key. And what you do is, we're coming over to the passenger side. So here's that bar that we removed. This little clip goes inside right there. It slips over that. So it sits inside that hole. And this is where that mount we just installed, right there at the bottom, that is where this will bolt into. All right, now we're going to install the rear latch pin. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need 4 bolts. I ended up losing a nut, I'm not sure where, so I had to get one out of my stash, but you want the nylock bolts, and this is the bracket you're going to want. Now they are shaped differently due to which side of the side-by-side it goes onto. So this is the passenger side bracket, and something that I found with this kit is I ended up having to buy spacers. Those 2 holes that held the protective bar that was on the back passenger seat, it bolts up to those. But I ended up having to go to Ace Hardware and buy, they have little spacers. And I believe these ones were 3/8 of an inch. 3/8 of an inch, just solid spacers, solid steel spacers. And they go in between that rear latch plate, striker plate, and the frame of the side-by-side. So I'm not sure if I'll have to do that on this side, but I'm assuming I will. So I'm just going to make it mimic this for now. And yeah, we'll move forward. All right, after you get that installed, just loosely fit in there right now. This is what it should look like. The striker plate with the flat surface should be facing towards the passenger side. I'm referring to this piece right here. And here's your striker pin. And we will adjust that after we get the door latch hinges installed and the door frame onto the door, which we'll do next. All right, so now we are going to install the door frame onto the side-by-side. What you're gonna need is, in the kit, it also comes with this C bracket, pretty heavy duty, and 4 of these Allen key style bolts, and then this one right here. So these ones are for the top mount, that is for the bottom mount, and I'll show you that once I get this put on. I'm doing it by myself. It can be done by yourself. It's a bit of a pain, but you can do it by yourself. Okay, and just like that, you can see I've got the door frame set onto the frame of onto the B pillar on the side-by-side. You can see that C-style clamp is wrapped around. I have it just a couple threads on so it doesn't fall off. And then on this bottom one, I also did an M8 and an M10 washer just to make sure it doesn't fall through that notch that they cut out for adjustment. And everything is still pretty loose. I can still adjust the side-by-side frame up and down right now because I still need to do that. All right, so working on this rear latch here, I have the correct bracket, and as you close it, that's going to be the support for the latch. Again, this kit did not come with all the bolts that you need. So these ones I already know from the other side, they're way too long. So I'm going to run these in, and then I'm going to take a cutoff wheel. I'm going to cut them off on this side as close to that nut as I can get them. Alright, have this bolted on there now. As you can see, I just cut those, so they're going to be steaming hot. Alright, it's been about 20 minutes. Finally got this all lined up. As you can see, I had to space these a little differently than I did the other side. Dealt with all the stuff with the bolts and the latch here, but now it closes good. Not hardly any wiggle room. Where I was running into issues was the heads of these two bolts here. They kept smacking the frame. I ended up bending this out just a little bit and having to space it like this so the striker was in line. So yeah, it opens, closes relatively easily. It's kind of sticky coming out, but I'm not too worried about that. Alright, well, I am joining you. It's been probably close to 45 minutes to an hour. The alignment on this door took a significant amount of time to get correct. What I ended up doing is, again, having to utilize those spacer brackets that are supposed to go up in here, down here, because these brackets are not long enough. And the reason it's all ground down is my buddy is going to throw a couple TIG beads on there just to strengthen that so I can get rid of that bolt, this bolt right here. But after that, it is very solid. This one on the back, same boat. I already kind of showed you that. Had to space it out, make it work, but it is solid. So next, I just have to put the skins on, and after I get the skins on, I will show you the finished product. Any questions when it comes time to do your own one of these, feel free to comment. It is a project. You do need to be prepared to make a couple trips to our hardware store, as these are not a direct bolt-in, but a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, you can absolutely do this on your own. So in total, after I get the door skins on, this project took me, I would say, probably with a break here and there, I'd say probably 5 to 6 hours. So be prepared to spend some time on it. A little bit of money. All the washers and stuff and the spacers were under 20 bucks. So really not that bad, but it's just best to be prepared to have to do that. So again, I'll show you some pictures when it's done, and thanks for watching.